Hey everybody, Matt DeBerry, dogpost.com. It is November 20th, and I think there is a big question surrounding Gunnar Stockton right now that nobody's really talking about, and that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. And I think the big question is, what are his plans for next season? Now stay with me here, because obviously going into this season, I don't think anyone thought Gunnar Stockton would have the type of season where he would go and enter the NFL draft. But I was thinking earlier this week, senior day is on Saturday. Could they do something for Gunnar Stockton? Because he's not technically a senior. He's a redshirt junior. He could come back next year. I think most expect him to. But right now, he is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's having a terrific season. He's playing his best right now. And the quarterback class coming into the NFL next year isn't all that great. He's got, a big, or I say a big, opportunity in front of him against Georgia Tech in a couple weeks. Their defense is complete garbage right now. If he has a great first half against Charlotte, puts up a few touchdown passes, puts up 5 touchdowns, maybe 6 against that bad Georgia Tech defense, dude is in New York. Then we're talking about him being a Heisman candidate. If he goes on to play in the SEC championship with a big game there, takes Georgia into a deep playoff run, I think you have to start talking about, okay, where is Gunnar Stockton as it relates to the NFL draft? Could he leave and say thanks, for everything? Maybe it takes a national championship win for him to do that. Now, I know he doesn't have the measurables. I don't know if he has enough arm talent to succeed at the NFL level. I'm not sure he has the exact type of accuracy they're looking for. He's not the fastest guy. So I do think he's somewhat, limited to how good he can be in the NFL, but the guy's putting up numbers. He is clutch. He can use his legs, and he is a big throw type of guy. And there are NFL, GMs and head coaches who are desperately looking for even a solid backup. But at the end of the day, if he comes back, like I think most Georgia fans are assuming that he will, this Georgia team is going to be really, really good next year, especially if they go out and get 2 big-time wide receivers in the portal like they did last year. But let's talk more about this, though, because, let's just go over the numbers right now, because he's obviously having a really good season, but let's break him down, okay? He's thrown for 2,269 yards and 19 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. He's playing efficient, winning football week in and week out. He's also rushed for 350 yards with the team leading 8 touchdowns. He's completing 71% of his passes. He's had several big moments, so that's going to help him in the Heisman race, not necessarily at the NFL level, but still, those coaches want to see you make big throws with the game on the line. Gunnar Stockton, absolutely checks that box. He knows how to lead. He's got this Georgia offense absolutely humming right now. They've scored 35 points in 3 of their last 4 games. And I'm just going to include the 4th, because if he runs that touchdown in against the Gators, then they're up, they've got 30 points. Instead, he decided to take a knee. But if you include context, Georgia's basically scored 30 points, or had the ability to if they didn't, in each of their last 4 games. The guy's playing really, really well, and he has made NFL throws. The 4th and 6th touchdown to London Humphreys, biggest play of the season, by the way, that's an NFL throw. He can throw a beautiful, catchable deep ball, but he's shown he can rocket it in there too. So, one thing against him, obviously, is he only has 1 year of college football experience. So, if I had to make a guess on what's going to happen, I do think he'll return next year and have the Dogs absolutely in another national championship hunt. But I think the percentage of him leaving have slightly grown week over week because of how well he's playing in the situation that he is in. And I think NFL GMs and quarterbacks are going to fall in love with this guy. But it's not like there's so much talent entering the NFL. Ty Simpson, I guess, could leave. I don't know if he's a senior. He might be. Fernando Mendoza. Drew Aller stinks. Garrett Nussmeier, you kidding me? Kate Klubnik. Lenore Sellers might be coming back for another year. And next year, you've got Julian Sand. Arch Manning, in theory, if he becomes that guy. So there's a lot of returning quarterbacks I think are pretty good coming back for next season, and Gunnar Stockton could be at the top of that list, or towards the top of that list, if he does decide to come back. But wouldn't surprise me at all if he has a monster season, especially if he leads Georgia to a national championship and says, hey, I'm obviously playing really good football. There's not a whole lot of guys that I'm competing with to be one of the first few quarterbacks off the board. I might take that chance. He's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So at the end of the day, I do think Georgia fans are, in the back of their mind thinking, this guy might leave. He could leave. Then what's that set up for next year? You would think Ryan Puglisi, would love it if, he's probably in Gunner's ear. Hey, man, you are balling out right now. You're almost too good. Secretly saying that to him, like in a way, I'm sure, jokingly. But Gunnar Stockton's playing at a really high level, and if he continues to do so, and he leads Georgia to a 40 plus points against the Jackets, 5 touchdowns, there will be some of these draft experts who start hyping and talking about him more and more as a legitimate NFL prospect. And I do think that, unlike a few others, quarterbacks in college football, he's playing his best when it matters most. And against Georgia's highest ranked opponent, which was not Alabama, that's going to trigger a lot of people. They were 17th when they played Georgia. Ole Miss was number 5 when they came to Athens. And what did he do? Right? He puts up 5 touchdowns and has his best game of the year against the best opponent. You can't say that about guys like Julian Sayin. I know it was early in the year, but their highest ranked opponent this year was Texas, number 1 Texas. Kid didn't do anything, and I know he's played really, really well, and he's probably a better NFL draft guy, and I think Mendoza's probably more of an NFL quarterback than Stockton is, but what other quarterbacks against top 5 opponents are throwing for 4 touchdowns and other rushing? He was 26 for 31 for like 250 yards, 200, a little around there. He had another rushing touchdown, 59 rushing yards. Against the highest ranked opponent, Gunnar Stockton played his best. And that's going to help him in the Heisman. But at the same time, I think it's totally fair that we acknowledge the chance that, his future might be up in the air. Now, I think you have to talk about NIL too. I meant to talk about that early in the video. Probably going to get more money to come back and be Georgia's starting quarterback with the NIL, opportunities, let's call them that, or deals he might get. I can only imagine it's through the roof. I mean, playing quarterback at the University of Georgia, a lot of people are going to hate this, but it's like playing shortstop for the New York Yankees or guard for the Lakers. It's a big deal. Quarterback for Notre Dame, right? There's just those types of positions across American sports where there's so much pressure. Probably quarterback at Alabama, right? Quarterback in Green Bay. The quarterback position is so different from everything else. And there's so much pressure that comes along with that. But it is one of those positions where there's a lot of eyes on you. Everyone knows who you are. You are a celebrity. And the way he's playing right now, especially if he leads Georgia to a deep playoff run or maybe a championship, he can come back and make all the money he wants. Probably a lot more than he would if he went on, into the NFL and became like a 3rd, 4th round pick or so, right? And again, he doesn't have the measurables, so I don't know even at his best if he's a 1st round guy. But Senior Day's coming up, and it just got me thinking, could they do anything for Stockton? He's not a senior, but if there is any type of noise or conversations that have been had with him and Curry, be like, hey, I'm all on the team, right? Because Gunnar Stockton is fully 100% on board with this team winning a championship, but there have to have been some type of plan of when do I go to the NFL? If it's after this year, do I come back? So I didn't know if they'd have something planned for him like the rest of the seniors and a lot of the guys that he came in with in the 2022 class. But we'll see. But he's playing at a level right now that should put him in New York, especially when you consider what he's done against the opponents he's played against. Now, he wasn't even bad, I would say, against Alabama, and he hasn't been perfect. Again, he's not the most accurate quarterback in college football, and he doesn't have the most arm talent, but he is efficient, he is smart, he is a winner, he is a leader. He's got all of those traits as well as good arm strength and above average accuracy and dynamic, ability to run with his legs and make plays there. The guy's a winner. That's all I know. And he didn't beat Alabama, hasn't beat Alabama yet. Maybe he gets that opportunity to do so. But if it's Georgia and Alabama in the SEC title game and Gunnar Stockton has a big game, leads them to victory, he has to, at that point, be one of the front runners for the Heisman, and a guy who continues to climb the quarterback, mock draft, so to speak. So I think it's a big question, finally worth talking about. This is the first time I have mentioned this all season long, and we are through SEC play. Now I think it's time to say, are we 100% sure Gunnar Stockton will come back? I still think he will. I just think it's a conversation that is probably time to be had, if that makes sense. Thanks for watching. I know it's somewhat rambling, but it's just something to talk about because he is playing so well. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Hope you halfway enjoyed it. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video.